Okay, here we go again, and welcome to our new lesson for the fourth module for the first quarter. And this time we are going to tackle about the map of the earthquake distribution. As to our learning competency, we're still on this one, for you to describe the distribution of active volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and major mountain belts. Now, for your weekly home learning plan, you need to answer the Do It in Module 4 by answering the 2 guide questions, do the Explore part, and answer the 8 guide questions. Apply what you have learned, as well as the Do It and the Explore, which follows after it. And then assess what you have learned, do the reinforcement, and if you have your notebook, you may copy or hear the important concepts and vocabularies. Okay, so these are the things that you need to accomplish for this week 4. Now, as I have said, you may get now your module number 4 entitled Map of the Earthquake Distribution, because our discussion will basically focus on this: how earthquakes are being distributed in our map. Before we proceed with our discussion, I will be showing you a short video clip. So it's some sort of an earthquake 101 for you to learn why is earthquake occurring, okay? How do we measure its strength, and then what are the different types of boundaries wherein earthquakes occur. So you may watch this video.
Whoa! You're laughing, right? Watching me tumble like that? Are you? Oh, no, go ahead. But hey, do you know what just happened? Whoa! There we go again! Well, this is nothing but an earthquake. A small one indeed. Come, let me tell you about earthquakes today. Zoom in! The surface of the earth is like a jigsaw puzzle. Yes, it's not a single piece of land, but approximately 20 pieces of a puzzle that constantly move. But you don't feel it because they move quite slowly. Each one of those puzzle pieces are called tectonic plates. So, whenever those plates hit, bump, or slide past another plate, an earthquake is caused. The surface where these plates slip is called the fault or the fault plane. So, when do you think it happens? Well, it happens all the time. But hey, don't be scared. Most of the times, we don't feel the quakes as they are too small to reach us. But sometimes they are so strong that they can be felt over 1,000 miles away. The place where the earthquake originates is called the hypocenter, and the place where it occurs on the Earth's surface is called the epicenter. There are 3 types of earthquakes. Convergent boundary. Here, one plate is forced over another during an earthquake, which causes a thrust fault. Many hills and mountains have been formed due to the convergent boundary. Divergent boundary. Here, plates are drifted apart from each other, forming a rift zone. This kind gives birth to new ocean flows. Transform fault. Here the plates slip by each other, and this is also called strike slip. So, earthquakes are nothing but the shaking, rolling, or a sudden shock of the Earth's surface. Now you know that whenever the Earth is stressed or angry, it shakes and grumbles. Don't be scared. I was just kidding. Trivia time! The instrument used by scientists to measure the intensity of earthquake is known as a seismograph. A tsunami is caused when earthquakes occur underwater. Whoa! Whoa! Yikes! I need to rush before I tumble again. So this is me zooming out. Tune in next time for more fun facts.
Okay, so that's it. So that's the video that will explain to us why earthquake occurs. Okay, as mentioned in the video, most of the time actually we experience earthquake. Actually, araw-araw naman may earthquake, diba? Parati siyang nangyayari because naturally it occurs because plates really move. Okay, the movement is maybe towards, away, or they simply grind or slide past each other. So, meron paggalaw ng mga plates and therefore yung subsequent effect niya is mangyayari yung earthquake. Most of the time nangyayari siya. Okay? But take note, hindi naman parating na nararamdaman natin or we can perceive the earthquake. Okay? Kasi possibly yung origin ng earthquake is napakalayo sa atin. Okay? So, that explains kung paano na nangyayari yung earthquake. Now, as for your first activity in your module, you need to try this activity. Answer the given question, how necessary is for us to know about earthquake, its nature, its effect, and its origin. Bakit ba kailangan natin malaman kung paano nagsisimula yung earthquake? Paano siya nag-originate? Bakit ba natin kailangan malaman yung epekto ng earthquake? Okay? So, you need to somehow answer this relevant question, okay, and try to give certain explanation of it. Aside from that, try answering this guide questions here. Why do you think there are there infrequent earthquakes to some parts of the world while there are highly active seismic activities to some? So yung first question naman, yung tinatanong niya lang is, bakit ba may mga lugar kung saan nakaka-experience parati ng earthquake and then may mga lugar din na halos wala or konti lang yung na-experience? Bakit kaya ganun? Okay? And for number 2, what does frequent earthquake suggest about the movement of the lithosphere? Ano bang sinasabi or sinasuggest ng paggalaw, okay, sa paggalaw ng lithosphere dito sa mga tinatawag natin na frequent occurring earthquakes? So, anong kinalaman nito? Okay? Anong kinalaman nito sa paggalaw ng lithosphere? And what does the concentration of earthquake activities to certain parts of the earth tells us about earthquake? Yun na nga. Bakit kaya may mga seismic activities, may mga earthquake activities na talagang concentrated at a given spot lang or at certain area? Okay? Kung saan madalas sila nakaka-experience ng mga paglindol na tinatawag natin. Okay? And there are some areas na wala masyado. Okay? So after that, you need to answer this explore. Okay? So it's entitled, Let's Mark the Boundaries, for you to come up with a map of the earthquake distribution. So in this activity, you will be simply using marking pen and then plastic sheet used for book cover. But take note, here in this activity, you will not submit the actual output. Okay, so what I want you to do simply is to answer the guide questions that basically follows after this activity. Okay, but take note, before you answer that activity, you need to perform this simple demonstration wherein you will be using a pen or a marker and then a plastic sheet or yung plastic cover na ginagamit natin. So first, you need to study the figure, okay, in your module showing the earthquake distribution around the world. So mamaya papakita ko yung picture na nasa module nyo naman. So nagpapakita siya ng earthquake distribution, okay, na makikita na nangyayari or nangyari all over the world. And then you need to tawag dyan, trace the approximate location of several earthquake cluster using your marking pen. So yun na nga, ipapatong mo yung plastic sheet or yung plastic cover doon sa mapa na to, and then gagamitin mo yung marking pen para i-trace yung mga earthquake clusters na tinatawag. So this is the map, okay, being referred on that activity. So ito yung map na nagpapakita ng earthquake distributions. So makikita natin naman na itong mga parts na to, yung mga red, actually all of them, yung mga red dots na yan, yun yung nagpapakita ng earthquake, okay, all over the world. Okay, so therefore may mga part, diba, na they are clustered, okay, they tend to form a line, and may mga part naman na white, they remain white. So dito sa mga portion na to, mga portion na to, wala silang na-experience na earthquake, okay? Yung blue naman and then yung green, it shows mga earthquake din to, okay? Probably, but hindi siya gaanong kalakasan, okay? In that case po, okay? So, but anyway, just focus on the red dots because they show the earthquake, okay? The location of the earthquake or its distribution, okay po? So, yung gray na to, ito yung continent, and then yung white po, they represent the bodies of water. Okay? So, saan ba makikita yung mga red dots na yun? May mga part ba na walang dot? So, meaning to say, walang na-receive na earthquake or walang earthquake na nangyari. Okay? So, after that, you need to answer this following questions. How are earthquake distributed on the map? Paano ba siya nakikita? Paano ba siya nakalagay dyan sa mapang yan? Okay? Where are they located? Saan ba sila kadalasan nakikita? Okay? Number 3, may mga lugar ba kung saan walang earthquake na nangyari? You can name them in this item. And then, why is it important for us to identify areas which are prone to earthquake? Bakit ba kailangan natin malaman yung mga lugar na madalas tamaan ng earthquake? Ano kaya yung importance of identifying these areas? So for letter B, part B of your activity, you need to analyze the picture given and answer the following questions. So here is another map, okay? So mapa pa din siya, it's a world map, wherein meron kang makikita ulit ng mga dots, okay? But in this case, yung mga dots are colored. They have this color like black, red, orange, and yellow. So yung mga black, these are earthquakes na sobrang lakas, okay, in terms of intensity, okay, followed by the red dots, followed by the orange, and then yung mga mahihina, yung yellow po, okay? But kung saan makikita yung mga dots na yon, dito makikita yung mga earthquake distribution po. Again, yung black represents only na yung mga malalakas po. Okay? Now, with that map, kailangan nyo lang sundan yung mapa and then answer the questions that follow after it. So, what do the spots represent? I already told you about it. Ano ba yung mga nire-represent pa ng mga dots na to? Okay? Ano sila? And number 2, is there a trend in the location of these earthquake activities? So, tingnan mo, meron kayang trend makikita dito. Okay? Talaga bang kalat-kalat siya? Or they tend to narrow down in a specific areas? Okay? Number 3, how are earthquakes related to tectonic activity? Ano bang kinalaman ng earthquakes, okay, sa mga tinatawag natin na tectonic activities or yung paggalaw ng mga plates? May direkta ba silang kinalaman or wala naman? And number 4, what inferences can we make regarding earthquake magnitude, frequency, or concentration based on the picture above? So, when we speak of inference, ano yung ma-observe mo, okay, out of this picture? Ano yung ma-generalize natin? Ano ba yung pinapakita ng picture na to regarding sa mga magnitude ng earthquake, kung gaano ba sila kalakas, kung saan ba sila madalas nakikita, okay? or saan sila masyadong nagko-concentrate based on the picture above. So after that, you need to somehow be acquainted with the different concepts found in your module. You need to master them actually. So earthquakes are the sudden shaking of the ground. Okay, so it was previously mentioned during the video clip which I showed you, diba? Na it's simply the shaking of the ground caused by the movement of the tectonic plates. Millions of tiny earthquakes happen every day actually, diba? But we can only feel those earthquakes that are strong enough. Okay? So, million-million yung nangyayaring earthquake every day, pero iilan lang yung nararamdaman natin. And sometimes, this earthquake can destroy our livelihoods and even lives, diba? So, aside from that, a seismograph is an instrument used to record even the tiniest earthquake. So, yung pinakita kanina sa video na device, we called it a seismograph. So if we map earthquake frequencies and instances, we can see how these are concentrated along the mainland coastline. So kanina pinakita, di ba, na meron siyang tinutumbok ng mga lugar. And this place or area are known as mga coastline. Okay? Actually, yung ibang term pa dito na tinatawag is yung mga tinatawag natin na plate boundary. So when we speak of coastline, they are actually the yung dulo, okay, yung dulo ng mga kontinente, okay, especially along the boundary plates as I have mentioned. Now, the shifting of the plates create pressure release in the lithosphere in the form of earthquakes or volcanic activity. So as mentioned in the clip a while ago, kapag gumalaw yung plates pa punta sa bawat isa, or they even separate, or they try to slide, okay, meron earthquake na nangyayari, okay, as long as there's shifting or movement of the plates na nakikreate ng pressure in the surrounding or the land itself, the immediate surrounding, okay? So, nangyayari yung earthquake na to. Now, areas such as the boundaries of the Pacific Ocean, okay? So, nasaan ba yung Pacific Ocean natin dito? Itong part na to. Itong part na to, diba? Nasaan ba dito yung Philippines? Okay, itong part na to. Okay, these are Pacific Ocean. So, yung mga boundaries niya, covering the Southeast Asia, kung nasaan tayo, East Asia and the western part of America, along the Indo-Australian plate boundaries. Okay? So, isa to sa mga lugar kung saan maraming, okay, yung tawag dyan, concentrated yung earthquake distributions po. So, along the Pacific Ocean, the boundaries of the Pacific Ocean. So, now, in this activity, apply what you have learned, what factors affect the earthquake and volcanic activity distribution in the lithosphere. So, ano ba yung mga factors na nakaka-apekto, okay, sa kung paano nangyayari yung earthquake, and not only earthquake but volcanic activity distribution in the lithosphere. You can cite at least 3 factors po. Okay, pag-isipan po ito kung ano yung mga factors na ilalagay nyo na nakaka-apekto sa kung paano nangyayari yung earthquake and other volcanic activities. Okay? And then after that, you need to answer this activity as well, do it. Now, Philippines has always been plagued with natural disaster like earthquakes. What may have caused all these natural disasters? Bakit kaya tayo parating tinatamaan ng mga natural disaster like volcanic eruption, earthquake? Ano ba ang nasa Pilipinas? Okay? So, you need to answer that question. And then, what does frequent earthquakes in the Philippines suggest about the movement of the lithosphere? Ano ba yung sinasuggest nito? Yung paggalaw ng mga plates sa atin, or sa paggalaw ng mga lithosphere, kung paano nangyayari yung earthquake madalas sa Pilipinas. And about the geographical location of the Philippines. Saan ba talaga makikita yung Pilipinas? May kinalaman ba yung mga nangyayaring earthquake kung saan tayo matatagpuan? And then what does the concentration of earthquake activities to certain parts of the Philippines tells us about earthquakes. Okay? You need to answer that. And then after that, you need also to accomplish this activity entitled Explore, wherein you're asked to analyze the picture given and answer the question that follows. So as you can observe, napakadami kayong sasagutan ng questions. But these questions are very basic as long as naiintindihan mo yung pinapakita ng mga mapa. Okay? So in this case naman, ang focus natin is yung earthquake distribution sa Pilipinas. Okay? So we're in actually lahat naman ng part ng Pilipinas naka-experience na ng earthquake, but they try to differ in terms of the intensity and magnitude. So yung mga red na to, they represent those areas na madalas tamaan, okay, ng earthquake. They are very risky, or yes, they have this high risk in terms of earthquake. And then yung orange naman, yung minsan lang, okay, paminsan-minsan lang, average yung risk nila in terms of earthquake. And then yung yellow naman, medyo malimit or talagang halos hindi nangyayari yung earthquake po. Okay? But take note, when we speak of low naman, di ba? So, nakaka-experience pa rin pero konti pa lang. Okay? That's according to this map po, provided by the Manila Conservatory. So, aside from that, we need to answer these questions. Which area are with high, moderate, and low risk of earthquake based from the map? So, therefore, magbibigay ka lang ng mga mag-cite ka lang ng mga examples or areas wherein papasok siya sa high, mga areas kung saan papasok siya sa mga moderate and mga low risk of earthquake. Okay? And number 2, is there a trend in the location of these earthquake activities? So, meaning to say, meron bang kinalaman? Okay? Meron bang trend? Bakit ba kaya dito sa part na to maraming high risk area, and dito sa part na to marami din high risk area? What do you think is the reason behind that? And third, with the news of frequent and violent earthquakes in Mindanao, what can we infer based on it and the map presented above? So, di ba sa mga balita naman, madalas tinatamaan ng earthquake din yung Mindanao. Ano kaya yung pwede natin ma-infer on this one and based on the map presented here in this slide? Okay? So, and after that, you may read this one. So, here is another map showing not only actually the seismic activities, but of course the volcanic and other storm concerns or tropical storm risk po. Okay? But tingnan nyo lang yung i-disregard nyo lang yung blue, kasi yung blue or yung shades of blue dito, patungkol siya sa mga tropical storm risk or intensity na naranasan natin. But take note, we are dealing with plates, so wala naman masyadong kinalaman yung tropical storm. Okay? So, yung mga, yung color or shadings lang na makikita natin sa kalupaan. Okay? Like yung mga red, you need to say, in terms of intensity and magnitude, yun na nga yung mga malalakas po. Okay? So, followed by the orange, followed by yellow, and last is yung green po. Okay? So, yun din, similar dito yung pinakita kanina. Okay? That the Philippines is located in one of the most active tectonic setting in Asia. So, several numbers of destructive earthquakes have occurred in every part of the country. Okay? So, napakadami na natin pinagdaanan in the past in terms of earthquake. Okay? So, the Central Luzon earthquake in 1990 with a magnitude of 7.6 was the largest seismic event for the Philippines. Earthquakes in the Philippines could occur along the Philippine Trench, the Manila Trench, the Philippine Fault Zone. Okay? So, if you have your map, you can actually locate this, yung mga tinatawag natin na zone and trench nito. Okay? So, pakibasa na lang po itong part na to, and then you need to go over with the discussion po for you to understand kung bakit itong mga part na to, they are high risk po. So may mga zone ba dito or yung mga fault system na tinatawag. Okay? Okay. So just go over with this discussion po para makita nyo yung earthquake or yung fault system all over the Philippines po. Okay? So with this map naman makikita mo yung mga lines and demarcations po. And then after that, you need to answer this and rather apply what you have learned, wherein you need to try to complete this graphic organizer. What can you do in the academic field to help increase awareness of earthquake safety among fellow Filipinos po? Okay, bilang isang estudyante for example, paano ka kaya makakapag-increase ng awareness sa mga tao when it comes to earthquake safety? Okay? Among your own fellow Filipinos po. So, make this graphic organizer. Okay? So, yung mga sagot mo should be focused on this graphic organizer. Ikaw na bahala maglagay ng nasa gitna. Ano ko yung pinaka theme or sentro or yung thesis na tinatawag natin in this topic of yours. Okay? This is optional. Wala naman to sa weekly home learning plan nyo, but you can do this one. Reflect. Ano ba yung mga natutunan nyo, and if there are questions, you may also write them in your paper and I'll try to read it and try to answer it as well. Okay. And then after that, you need to answer the evaluation part, assess what you have learned. So there are 5 items here. Write T if the statement is correct and F if otherwise. Okay? So number 1, earthquakes are a random movement of the earth and may occur anywhere in the world. Okay? When we say random, hindi siya predicted. Meaning to say, iba-iba. Number 2, seismograph or seismograph are used to record huge earthquakes only. Is that true or false? Okay, number 3, earthquakes and volcanism are interrelated. May kinalaman kaya yung mga nangyayari sa mga volcanic activities with earthquake occurrence? Number 4, there is an equal distribution of earthquake incidences around the world. Okay? So, as shown in the map, ano kaya yung sagot mo dito sa number 4? Number 5, volcanoes are characterized by craters that reach deep within the lithosphere. So it's more on the characteristic of volcanoes po. Is that a true or false statement? Okay? And then, another is for you to come up with this reinforcement. Okay? So this will be part of your performance task. So given the situation, you are just to write your reaction. So over the years, the country has been facing numerous earthquakes. Alam naman natin, di ba? In a year naman, may mga nangyayaring earthquake talaga sa Pilipinas. We face numerous earthquakes. Some are weak and unfelt, di ba? Ang iba, hindi na natin masyadong pinapakilaman dahil mahihina naman. Some are strong enough to destroy livelihood, properties, and even reduce casualties. Now, as students, there is an imperative to learn all about earthquakes and volcanic activities. How can you be able to help others to learn what you have learned? Okay? Para extension lang yung ng isang activity wherein ikaw bilang estudyante, paano mo ba i-disseminate yung information na natutunan mo with this module to other people po. Okay? So that's reinforcement. So your action or your plan can be written in your answer sheet po. Okay? You can do that because this is part of your performance task. Okay? So that's it. I hope you learned something from this discussion regarding earthquake, how earthquakes are distributed, okay? And ano ba yung relevance natin, kung bakit natin kailangan malaman yung mga bagay-bagay patungkol sa earthquake, okay? And ano ba yung sitwasyon ng Pilipinas? Are we that country which is always visited by earthquake? Okay, so I hope you learned something out of this module. Again, you may comment your name in the YouTube section for me to recognize those students you really find time and effort to watch the video, because I will be giving points and extra points for those students na nanonood po, and I'll include that in your grade. So please don't forget to comment your name and section in the comment in the YouTube comment. Okay, and if you have questions, you may also comment them. Okay, so that's all. Thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.